Larry, we good to go? 2014. Can I have a roll call?
Yes, roll call shows all councilors are present.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3 is special orders of the day and announcements. 3A.
Motion to accept resignation of Councilor Levy.
As the public may be aware, Councilor Kevin Levy has submitted a resignation to be effective the end of the month, and so at this time, with regret, we would entertain a motion to accept that resignation.
Move to accept.
Is there a second? Moved by Haynes, second by Kelly. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it, and the resignation is regretfully accepted. Item 3B.
Presentation of plaque of Kevin Levy by a grateful community in appreciation for service on the Beloit City Council from April 2003 to April 2014.
Presented to Kevin D. Levy by a grateful community in appreciation for your service on the Beloit City Council, April 2003 to May 2014. Kevin served as Council President in 2010 and 2011, as Council Vice President in 2005, 2006, and 2009, on the Alcohol Beverage License Control Committee from 2007 to 2009 and from 2012 to 2013, on the Appointment Review Committee 2005 to 2006 and 2009 to 2011, on the Business Improvement District Downtown Beloit Association in 2013, the Cable Television Advisory Committee in 2008, the Community Action Agency of Rock County in 2003, Community Development Authority in 2012 and 2014, Community Development Block Grant Committee 2004, Convention and Visitors Bureau Board of Directors 2010 to 2011, Economic Development Corporation 2003 to 2004, Equal Opportunities and Human Relations Commission 2003 to 2006, Fairbanks Flats Coordinating Committee 2003 and 2005 to 2007, the Landmarks Commission in 2007, Oversight Committee to Monitor Public Health Services from 2005 to 2006, the Park Recreation and Conservation Advisory Commission in 2005, and the Plan Commission from 2004 to 2006. It's my honor to present this plaque to Kevin and to thank him for his service. As is obvious from reading this plaque, Kevin's service on this council has been long and distinguished. He served on a great variety of committees, and we will deeply miss your service.
Thank you. Did I have a job during all this? I would like to think that everyone here tonight was for me, but I don't think that's the case. But seriously, I take it a great honor to stand here this evening and receive this plaque for my service to the community. But before I go any further, there's one person that I really have to thank because I could not do all this without the support that I had of my wife, Ruthie. She'll kill me when she gets home, but. And then also my kids are here as well, so I think when I first got on council they were young, now they're adults and somehow in college coming back home, so I'm going to be busy. But I want to first of all thank everybody. I want to thank the community for your continually to elect me and put your trust and belief in me to help lead the city to where we are now. I want to thank Larry. We got on the council at the same time. He got hired, and one of the things that I we said to Larry, when you got here, you got a tough road ahead of you. And I like the fact that he knows everything that's going on in the city. You can ask him about any construction project. He knows exactly where they are because that's the commitment that he has for the city. Not only him, but the entire city staff. I know I bugged several of them, Julie, Pam, I bugged a lot of people, Beth, but the dedication that we have for the city, that the city employees have for this city is great. You can't find it anyplace else. They love what they do. They're professional at it, and it shows every single day. So I want to thank the entire city staff. But I also want to thank the council for working alongside with me, letting me bug you, ask the tough questions. I'm going to challenge you that as you look for someone to fill the seat, continue to find someone that's representative of the entire Beloit community, because that's truly how the city grows. Continue to ask the tough questions. We did not get where we are because we didn't ask tough questions. Continue to challenge staff, continue to challenge each other, because that's truly how we grow. I'm truly going to miss it. I'm not going to be gone. I'm going to still be in Beloit, so now I'll be out here, coming up here with different issues. But I want to just say thank you to everybody. I want to thank Marty. I see that he was in the audience as well. We had a long relationship, and I got my start on school board, and President Winkleman is here this evening. So I just want to thank everybody for your support. I'm going to miss it. I'm not going to say that I won't be back, but as of right now, I just need to take a little time. For those of you who don't know, I did start a new position in December that has a huge demand of my time, and I'm the type of person that if I can't give 100% to something, then I step back and let someone else do it. So I'm gone, but not forgotten, and you may see me again. So once again, I say thank you.
Item 4A.
Resolution authorizing a conditional use permit to allow outdoor seating and the outdoor sale, possession, and consumption of alcohol in a C2 neighborhood commercial district for the property located at 1901 Liberty Avenue, Clairvaux and Gatsby Wine Bar. Plan Commission recommended approval 5-0.
Ms. Christensen.
This property was previously the site of the Liberty Inn. It is currently being renovated to become the Clairvaux Steak and Seafood Restaurant and Gatsby Wine Lounge. This development has gone through the whole site plan review process, and so all the parking, loading areas, and landscaping are in compliance with the zoning ordinance. The plan is for an outdoor seating area, and on the east side of the building, and the proposed dimensions are 10'4" by 52'8". They did need a variance related to their fencing. And they did go to Board of Appeals last week, and Board of Appeals granted the ability to have a privacy fence made of wood, laid herringbone with a maximum height of 7'4", and it is a similar design which in the pictures in the packet which show what that fence looks like. It's on the other side of the site. The outdoor seating areas is what requires the conditional use. And Plan Commission did review this and voted unanimously to recommend approval, subject to the conditions which are included in the resolution, which is that the conditional use permit authorizes a 10'4" by 52'8" outdoor seating area on the east side of the existing building, shown in the application attachments, and the extension of the sale, possession, and consumption of alcohol into that area, subject to all of the conditions of approval. Prior to the establishment of the conditional uses, the applicant shall amend the liquor license for the premises to include the outdoor seating area. The outdoor seating area shall be surrounded by a 4-foot fence that must be at least 50% see-through, or whatever design is approved by the Board of Appeals. Before construction begins, the applicant shall obtain an architectural review certificate, fence permit, and building permit. The maximum capacity of the outdoor seating area shall be 26 people. This maximum capacity shall be posted inside the building and within the outdoor seating area. The door leading to the outdoor seating area shall be marked as an exit, and the path of egress shall be remain clear at all times. The applicant shall provide a visible and/or audible fire alarm within the outdoor seating area. Music may not be played in the outdoor seating area after 10 p.m. The property owner shall be responsible for all costs associated with any maintenance or repairs needed for the water and sewer laterals that may be covered by the proposed outdoor seating area, and then our standard condition about major changes coming back through this public process and minor changes being able to be approved administratively.
I'll now open the public hearing on item 4A. Is there anyone wishing to speak? If so, please approach the podium. Second call for anyone wishing to speak on item 4A. Third and final call, is there anyone wishing to speak on item 4A? If not, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion for approval.
Move to approve. Second.
Moved by Haynes, second by Levy. Is there any questions or discussion? Councilor DeForest.
Ms. Christensen, did any of the residents that were notified attend any of the hearings before?
No.
Okay. So we haven't heard any concerns about the outdoor seating area from the residents
Well,
nearby?
we got a phone call from a resident concerned about trash that could occur from it. I think that was listed in the staff report. And the argument made, which I think Plan Commission agreed, was that having the fencing and containing it would help. And there was also concern about potential for the noise, which we've, not allowed music after 10, so, which was our standard condition. But the fencing should actually help that because it should buffer any sound from that outdoor seating area.
I don't see where or maybe I missed it, where the seating area has been outlined, and
It's
what side of the building is it?
side of this town line,
Okay.
and
And the residence is on the other side.
there's residences across the street
Okay.
on town line. There's residences across the street on Liberty. The
Okay.
outdoor seating area is this drawing right here. I know it's kind of small. And there is, a fire inspector was out there, so you come out the door, it's about 30 inches up, and then you go down some steps. Why it was larger than originally proposed was because fire suggested that if they would use that upper part for a table, then people who are handicapped or on wheelchairs or anything could actually be outside, and then it would go down a few steps, and then it'll be at grade from that point on. And that's where the other tables are shown, is at grade.
Okay. Thank you for answering my questions.
Are there any other questions or further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? That's approved 7-0. Item 5 is citizens' participation. We have reached the point in the meeting for members of the public to speak to the council about issues that are coming before us or may come before us in the future. The council will not act on any requests this evening unless the item you are speaking about is already on our agenda, but we may act on requests at a future meeting, or we may refer a speaker to staff for assistance. We ask that you hold your comments to 3 minutes or less and avoid making personal attacks. I have a couple of sheets here of people wishing to speak. The first one is Joe Wall. Please approach the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Not on the agenda. My name is Joe Wall, and need my address? It's W7947 Town Hall Road, and that's in Sharon, Wisconsin. And I am here today because I'm a property owner in Beloit. I have a few rental properties, and in the last 3-4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, been increasing amount of gun violence in the neighborhood, as well as some of the other neighborhoods like bounding, say, Bluff to 8th Street and St. Lawrence to Merrill. And it seems to be increasing, and my tenants are very fearful. They fear to go outside. Their kids, they don't necessarily want to go outside, and it's like they're not comfortable in the neighborhood and would like to, it'd be nice to have them feel comfortable there, and that's what I wanted to say. So I don't know if this is the correct place to address this issue, but I tried some other, venues and haven't heard back yet, so I thought I'd come here and talk to everybody at the council.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay.
Councilor DeForest.
Can
Can I ask one specific question for clarification of the gentleman that's speaking to us? Can I just ask, are there specific recommendations or things that you would like the city council to explore or to do
Well,
to address?
just how could we, maybe just more police presence in say on St. Lawrence especially. It's like we had a shooting, drive-by, a murder just around the corner on A Street, and then a police standoff, and then a month or so ago, just on Bluff or Parker and St. Lawrence, there was something going on that the tenant coming home from work late at night said that there was a whole bunch of activity going on, a lot of police cars and so forth. So I don't know if that was specific enough or not, but okay. Plus there's some other things too. I got a list of them, so. Oh, sure. On A Street, I've had a tenant, this was not recent, this was like last year or so, was mugged and robbed right outside her apartment. Had another place on Roosevelt where right next door there was a shooting. There was a shooting kitty corner from the place, and she saw one of the participants running down right in front of the place with a gun in his hand. And then I think 2 years ago there was a shooting down on Parker, somewhere between St. Lawrence and Roosevelt, and 2 young people were shot, and they tried to get away and jumped the curb and died in my yard. So that was pretty traumatic too. So I just by accident happened to find an ad looking for one of the suspects in that crime. So I guess they're still trying to locate this guy. But anyway, it seems like my tenants are going to move out, and you just wonder if you can operate your business, and I'm starting to question that. So
Thank you for sharing that.
okay.
Councilor Levy?
I was just going to suggest that the chief maybe get his information and they can have a dialogue about this information.
Thank you. I next have a sheet from Linda Garrett. Please approach the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Linda Garrett, 1241 Prairie Avenue. To the City Council regarding fines imposed for truancy and daytime curfew violations. We appreciate the need to encourage school attendance and to discourage delinquency that often is associated with students who are not in class. We applaud the collaborative efforts of the School District of Beloit and the City of Beloit to address the issue. We understand that the task of the city attorneys and the magistrate is a difficult one with regard to this issue. We are also aware of the challenges and difficulties of young people who have been fined for curfew or truancy violations. For example, once they turn 18, they are subject to warrants for arrest. They are unable to obtain driver's licenses, which makes it difficult to get a job to earn income toward paying off their fine. Furthermore, when youth who become adults are unable to pay fines and so work off their fine by sitting in jail, the financial burden shifts to the taxpayers. Therefore, as a means of balancing the intended purpose of the truancy ordinance while minimizing potentially harmful long-term effects of unpaid fines, we propose, number 1, the City of Beloit adopt a policy that all youth who violate truancy and daytime curfew ordinances be eligible to participate in community service in lieu of financial penalties. Number 2, the City of Beloit, we propose, would adopt a policy that truancy fines are forgiven if and when the student graduates from high school. Regarding warrants, since warrants have the effect of criminalizing behavior that was originally an ordinance violation, with the potential for creating negative consequences for future contributions to the community, we also propose that the City of Beloit adopt a policy of not requesting warrants for outstanding fines for truancy and daytime curfew violations when the violators turn 18. It should be noted that other cities have dealt with outstanding fines by either turning the fines over to a collection agency or using the tax intercept program. Finally, since a large fine does not necessarily have the hoped-for deterrent effect, especially for families with limited means, we propose that the City of Beloit re-examine the fine amount imposed for truancy and daytime curfew violations. Signed, Rock Community Youth Network co-chairs Bill McFarland and Tim Perry. Lynn Jones, Director of Employment and Training, Community Action Pathways Center. State Line Evangelical Ministers Association. Justice Overcoming Borders. NAACP, Beloit Branch, Bertia McAllister, President. Minister David Fagerud, Pastor Tina Ray, and Regina Duncan. I'm not sure if there are other people that are on the agenda to speak this evening with regard to this. Okay, so I'll hold off. I wanted to suggest that we have a stand of people who are in support of this amendment at the end of the other comments. So with that being said, thank you to the City Council for your attention to this matter. It is a vital concern for many of our youth in the community, and we would appreciate your careful attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you please give a copy of that letter to the clerk so that the council can receive copies? Thank you. The next person I have wishing to speak is Gail Hotchkiss. Please approach the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Gail Hotchkiss, 2318 Park Meadow Drive, Beloit, President of the League of Women Voters of Beloit. The League of Women Voters of Beloit appreciates this opportunity to encourage the City of Beloit to review the ordinances and policies regarding youth truancy. The City and the school district have a wealth of resources to deal with this issue, and we encourage the two groups to continue to work together for the benefit of our teenagers. The League believes that the court jurisdiction over the kinds of behavior that apply only to children should clearly separate children who have committed criminal offenses from those who have not. When there has been no criminal offense, protection of the child rather than punishment should be the purpose of intervention. The League believes that the punishment applied to young adults should be humane, seek to avoid criminalization, consider the child's age and level of responsibility while promoting the potential for responsible behavior in relation to family and community, and be applied equally regardless of race, religion, sex, economic, or social status. In short, the League of Women Voters believes that justice for juveniles should focus on programs aimed at prevention and reward the behavior you want to see.
Thank you. The next person I have wishing to speak is Greg Schneider. Please approach the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Greg Schneider, 703 Milwaukee Road. Again, as I know that the city has been encouraged to consider the truancy ordinances that are in place. And as the speakers before me have said, I would urge you to consider the long-term consequences of those actions on the youth. As there has so much been in the news lately about the over-incarceration of people in Wisconsin, that we want to be careful that we don't start our youth into that cycle early. And for things like, non-criminal offenses like truancy. Now, I also work for the school system of Beloit, and I knew that truancy is a big issue. Students can't learn if they're not in the classroom, if they're not in school. But I think we need to be very careful with what are the consequences for truancy. Right now, I know for the first offense, or my understanding is that they can serve that through community service. But every offense after that becomes a ticket and becomes a fine. And those fines impacted the family as a whole much more than they do the individual student. So again, to consider things like community service, but meaningful ones that would help show what is the consequences of not getting that education. Helping them to work maybe with those who are much less fortunate than them, who are struggling to learn, don't have the abilities and the options that they have, are ways that they can maybe see the importance of that education. But to consider the meaningful community service or consequences for those youth so that we stop the legal cycle that begins so early with so many of our youth, that leads to an unknown future for them. So just consider those consequences as you are looking at the truancy offenses. Thank you.
Thank you. I do not have any other sheets of people wishing to speak, but if anyone else wishes to speak, please approach the podium now. Second call for anyone else wishing to speak during citizens' participation. Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak during citizens' participation. If not, I will close citizens' participation. Councilor Levy?
I would like to suggest to we have a lot of individuals here that seems to be in favor of this, what they're talking about. I think I would like to city manager to at least put this in a workshop in the very near future, that individuals could come forward, present their side, and then the city would also have an opportunity to explain the ordinance and the daytime curfew and have a dialogue and see where we can go in between. But I think if we do that in the near future, that I think that would be greatly appreciated.
President, I think that would be fine. There's a lot of information that needs to be shared with the concerned residents about how the efforts of the city of Beloit to deal with truancy and daytime curfew have been coordinated. The city and the school district have worked together for a number of years to address this problem. We've put together a very, very aggressive program, and most of it does entail working with young people in a positive way. We have not only first offender, but a number of other programs that work through education. The school district has a number of special programs that they've set up within the schools to work with students that are habitually truant. Only a few students who are repeat and long-term offenders get into the situation you're concerned about tonight, where they're building up a number of fines. And I think we need to go through the entire program. We most certainly need to have the school district here. Any major changes in the truancy program or any effort to reduce or eliminate any of the sanctions that are used against people who habitually violate would certainly undermine the program. And I think they need to be a part of that dialogue before we come up with any major changes to how the program is being administered. So I would suggest the workshop might be a better venue where we could sit around and talk for some time. And I certainly encourage all of you that came here tonight to express your concerns about the truancy program, attend that workshop so you can hear from the school district officials and the court officials is exactly how this entire system works, not just this one piece of it. This involves a very small percentage of the people that come under the jurisdiction of the city or the school district because of truancy issues.
Councilor Levy?
Can I ask that part of that workshop also we present the findings of how this program has worked? Has it decreased truancy? Has it remained the same, or has it gotten worse? Because I think that's going to be a telltale sign as well, that if you
Yes.
have a program in place, to see the results of it.
Yeah, the school district, I know, was keeping fairly close to statistics. We had a joint committee that met for about 3 or 4 years on this when the program was first implemented. Now, that's kind of tailed off, but the program is continuing to be enforced with the police department, the school security staff, working very closely with the school district and the court to implement that truancy and daytime curfew ordinance. So there are statistics, and we'll be able to make a report to you on how it's been working.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Levy and City Manager. We'll look forward to getting that workshop scheduled, and we'll make sure the public is aware of it so that everyone has a chance to attend. The next item on the agenda is 6, the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda. Is there any councilor wishing to remove an item from the consent agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
Motion for approval. A second?
Moved by Lupke, second by DeForest. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The consent agenda is approved 7-0. Item 7A.
Proposed ordinance to repeal and recreate Chapter 10 of the Code of General Ordinances of the City of Beloit relating to the electrical code.
Ms. Christensen.
The Deputy City Attorney has prepared this ordinance, along with input from the Director of Planning and Building Services. The reason why we started looking at the electrical code related to the fact that we had licensed electrical contractors. It was a revenue source for us, and the state determined that only the state can license electrical contractors. So we had to remove that section of the ordinance. As part of this rewrite, the Attorney's Office cleaned up some of the language, changes from Department of Commerce to Safety and Professional Services, and generally reorganized the ordinance so it flowed better. So part of the reason it wasn't redlined is some of the stuff that was in the back is in the front, some of the stuff that's in front is in the back. So it is a complete reorganization of the ordinance. Most of the rest of the ordinance remains unchanged. The electrical inspector's duties and credentials included only minor clarifications. The permit requirements remain essentially unchanged, but includes changes relating to the permit display and permit expiration. There's all the fees have been moved into adopted by City Council resolution instead of being included in the ordinance, but a new reinspection fee would be created as part of this to allow for a charge for no-show inspections. Essentially what you did for the code side would also be on the electrical side. So if they had a code violation, the inspector went out and scheduled an inspection and they just didn't show up, we could then charge for the reinspection. It formalizes the stop work order process and aligns the ordinance with existing practice. And it does, just kind of in general, it just cleans up the ordinance. I think it was written decades and decades ago. And it'd be wonderful if we had time to rewrite all the ordinances to be modern and up to date, and that's essentially what this does. And this is on your agenda just for first reading tonight, and we'll come back to you for action at your next meeting.
Thank you. Are there questions or discussion for Ms. Christensen? Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. I'm having trouble getting there. I'm getting used to these new computers and I can't scroll down for some reason. Could you explain the fee that will be charged for this reinspection? It sounds like it's just if at a first inspection that's scheduled, if they're not there, then we would charge them for the inspector to return, not for a failure, but just if it's a failed scheduling.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's how it is written. It's essentially, and for continuing violations, for no-show inspections and continuing violations.
Okay, so if they don't show for some reason that first time, we're charging them automatically for scheduling another inspection. How much notice are we giving them of the inspection? That's the notice sent by mail, and how much notice are we giving them?
I don't know how much notice we're giving them, but we're not showing up a half hour before. I mean, we're scheduling a time for us to come out. We're not just showing up.
But in terms of scheduling a time, are we just sending a notice of the time? We're calling them and we're scheduling it collaboratively?
We're scheduling with the people, and they're
Okay.
just not showing up.
Okay. All right, thank
And
you.
we don't automatically just schedule a reinspection with anyone.
Okay,
We always schedule a time to go out there.
that's
with-
mutually convenient.
Yeah, well, that's
Okay.
mutually convenient. And then when people just blow it off and then don't notify it, because if they notify us ahead of time, we wouldn't charge it, because then we wouldn't go out there for no reason.
All right, I wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? If not, is there a motion to lay this over to our next meeting?
Move to lay over. Second.
Moved by Haynes, second by Kincaid. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? This is laid over to our next meeting. Item 7B.
Proposed ordinance to amend sections of the Code of General Ordinances of the City of Beloit pertaining to wastewater pretreatment system.
Ms. Simplot.
Good evening. On March 27th, 28th, the City of Beloit was audited by the Wisconsin DNR for its industrial pretreatment program. Out of that audit, there was a few minor things that they wanted to see changed in our sewer use ordinance. One was to require that our significant industrial users list all environmental permits on their annual report. Second one was that the SIUs could exceed the milligram per liter or the microgram per liter limit in 2913, which is our specific pollutants. And that's basically because the Frito-Lays and the Hormels have hundreds of thousands of gallons of flow. And so what we've done in their permits is allowed them to have a pound limit instead of a microgram per liter limit. Expressly that the city uses best management practices to reduce its mercury to meet its wastewater discharge permit. We had a 0.5 milligram per liter limit in the prior sewer use ordinance. The city's wastewater discharge permit is 1.3 nanograms. So we actually had to lower the acceptable limit coming into the plant in order to meet our permit limit. Number 4 was expressly provided that the city authorize a monitoring waiver for the SIUs to meet federal and state standard. And what that is with the large food industries we have in Beloit, the metals content coming into the treatment plant are very, very low. And this waiver allows that if pollutants aren't specifically found to be present, that they don't have to monitor for that. And as the city, we prefer that they spend more of their efforts and monies testing for pollutants that are a concern to us and not the metals that are not a concern. And then the last one, it requires the SIUs to notify the city within 24 hours of becoming aware of a violation and that they need to resample within 30 days and send those test results to the city.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. Thanks, Cheryl. I wanted to ask about the monitoring. Have you found any occasions where SIUs have not notified us of a violation? We've discovered it later. Are they doing a pretty good job of letting us know when there's a problem?
Yes, and the ordinance right now says they have to notify us immediately.
Yes.
But the state and federal law says they have 24 hours. But especially with the large industries, we ask them to notify us immediately because we can then maybe make changes at the treatment plant to offset any high loadings from them. But we've had a real good relationship with the industries.
And they've been doing that? Because
Yes.
there's no, okay.
Yes, we have a 24/7 on-call supervisor, and if anything happens out of the ordinary, they'll call.
Okay. And are we doing any routine sampling of our larger users or no?
Yes, all of our SIUs at least have to monitor quarterly.
Okay.
And then the larger food industries with the high flow and the high pollutants monitor monthly.
And are they doing that internally themselves, or are we doing it, or another body?
Well, they can hire a contractor or monitor themselves, but that has to be sent to a certified laboratory.
Okay.
And then those results come to us and we review that. And then we're required by federal law to monitor them at least 1 day per year. And we do monitor the metals once a year for all the industries.
Okay, is that a scheduled check or a surprise check?
It's a surprise check.
Okay, great. Thank you for answering all my questions.
You're welcome.
Doing great work.
Ms. Simplot, are all of the users who would be affected by this aware that this change is coming, and have you heard any feedback from them on it?
We had a meeting with them a couple months ago in February. They're aware of the changes, and they're such minor changes, and actually most of them actually benefit our users. So it's, 24 hours versus immediately is a little bit better. But again, the waiver on the metals kind of alleviates a little bit, a couple $100 in monitoring. Because we probably monitor more often than most other communities. But again, that's to protect the treatment plant, and we've got a really good working relationship with the users.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? If not, this is for first reading. Is there a motion to lay this over to our next meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second? Moved by Kincaid, second by Lupke. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? This is laid over 7-0. Item 7C.
Proposed ordinance to establish 3-hour parking time limit for entire Angel Museum parking lot, except handicapped accessible and staff-designated stalls.
Mr. Boyson.
This ordinance is an administrative change to better reflect the signage at the Annual Museum parking lot. And the actual change is actually only to allocate a couple of parking stalls for the Angel Museum staff. So the 3-hour regulation is currently in effect. It would just remove 2 stalls from that, reserve it for Angel Museum staff since they're there all day and it was creating some difficulties for the staff. So the Traffic Review Committee reviewed the request during their April 28th, 2014 meeting. The committee voted 5-0 in favor of excluding the staff stalls from the 3-hour parking limit. Currently, the entire museum parking lot is designated with a 3-hour time limit, with only the handicapped accessible stalls being accepted. The 2 staff in the southeast corner of the lot, the 2 staff stalls, will be designated for employee parking only. The new ordinance will exempt the staff parking stalls from the 3-hour time limit, allowing the employees to park all day. The Engineering Division recommends approval of the ordinance as drafted.
Thank you. This item is on our agenda to suspend the rules for a second reading. So are there any questions, or is there a motion to suspend the rules at this time?
Motion to suspend rules. Second.
Moved by Lupke, second by Haynes. Is there any questions or discussion on suspending the rules? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? That passes 7-0. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move on the merits.
Is there? Moved by DeForest, second by Levy. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? And that's approved 7-0. Item 7D.
Proposed ordinance to establish no parking on Ironworks Drive and 3rd Street. Traffic Review Committee recommended approval 5-0.
Mr. Boyson.
This no parking expansion has been requested by the Irish Batterman Engineering Company on behalf of their client, the Universal Company, who's utilizing and moving into some of the space of the Ironworks facility. And this is a proposal to remove parking on both sides of the street. The Traffic Review Committee reviewed this at their meeting on April 28th, and a representative of the Hendricks Company, who owns the Ironworks facility, was also there, and he expressed support for the proposed modification as requested. The current parking restriction is along the west side of the roadway, south of the driveway, and for approximately 100 feet near the driveway on the east side of the roadway. Basically, I just summarized by saying that the Engineering Division recommends approval of the ordinance as drafted in accordance with the requests of the adjacent property owners and new tenants.
Thank you. This is also on our agenda to suspend the rules. Is there any discussion or a motion to suspend the rules? Moved by Lupke, second by Haynes. Are there any questions or comments on suspending the rules? Counselor DeForest.
I'd like to ask this question now because the answer will determine on whether or not I'd like to suspend the rules. Mr. Boyson, what was their rationale for wanting to remove the parking? Was they were concerned about truck delivery? Can you help me understand why they?
That's right. They've experienced difficulties with their large trucks that
Okay.
come and go from the facility, so there's addressing a problem that currently exists.
All right, thank you very much.
Is there any further discussion on suspending the rules? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? That's approved 7-0. Is there a motion to approve? Moved by Haynes. Who seconded that? Second by Levy. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? That's approved 7-0. Item 8 is appointments. We do have appointments tonight. I, the undersigned Mark Spreitzer, duly elected President of the Beloit City Council, subject to confirmation by the Beloit City Council, do hereby appoint the following citizen members to the vacancies and terms indicated below, said appointments being pursuant to nominations made and approved by the Appointment Review Committee at the regular meeting held May 12, 2014. To the Appointment Review Committee, Mardell Jacobson, 1442 Grant Street, replacing Doris Forbes for a term ending December 31st, 2016. To the Board of Appeals, incumbent Randall Fiore for a term ending May 31st, 2017. And to the Business Improvement District, Downtown Beloit Association, Megan Moss of Blackhawk Bank at 2200 Cranston Road, replacing Ramiro Vargas as an owner-occupant for a term ending December 31st, 2016. Is there a motion to approve the appointments? Moved by DeForest, second by Lupke. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The appointments are approved 7-0. I'd like to announce the following vacancies. On the Alcohol Beverage License Control Committee, there's one vacancy for resident. On the Appointment Review Committee, there's one vacancy for resident. On the Board of Appeals, there are 2 alternate vacancies for residents. On the Board of Ethics, there's one vacancy for a former city councilor and 2 vacancies for residents. On the Board of Review, 2 alternate vacancies for residents. Community Development Authority has 2 vacancies for residents. The Equal Opportunities Commission has 1 vacancy for a resident. Municipal Golf Committee has 1 vacancy for a resident. The Plan Commission has 2 vacancies for residents. And the Traffic Review Committee has 2 vacancies for residents. There are a lot of opportunities here to get involved and serve the community. It's a great opportunity to learn more about how your government works and to be a part of it. So if you have any interest in applying for any of these positions, there are applications available either here at City Hall or on the city website. And it's a fairly painless process. I'd encourage everyone to consider it. Item number 9 is councilor activities and upcoming events. Councilor Lubke.
I went on Saturday to the Beloit Fire Station. It was the 40th anniversary of our paramedics program, and one cannot help but walk away with a lot of pride in our fire department. It's just, it's amazing the equipment they have, and some of it's quite old, but how they keep it up and maintain it. But just the spirit of camaraderie there. UW had their med flight in there on that, I think on the Beloit College grounds. Thanks, John, for letting us fly in there. But it was just a neat event. Want to remind citizens tomorrow, the School District of Beloit will have a very nice presentation at 5 o'clock with the groundbreaking for the new Fran Frusen School. The first complete school to be built with the referendum funds. And there should be a lot of pride in Beloit to see the school go up. So hopefully tomorrow night many of us can be there. That's all I have.
Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. First of all, I would just like to thank those residents who came to express their concern about the truancy policies and ordinances, and I'm grateful that they care deeply about our youth and what happens to them. And so I just want to thank them for taking the time to bring those issues forward so that the City Council could review and discuss those, and hope they will continue to stay involved in the discussion, and we'll attend that workshop. I guess I'd like to ask if we could be sure to know when that is scheduled with enough notice that we can get that out to folks. I would like to express my congratulations to Beloit College and Blackhawk Technical College graduates. It's wonderful to see the city full of life this weekend with lots of people from out of town visiting our shops and restaurants and talking about how pleased they are with the education that their young people have received and how beautiful the city is and how glad they are to be here. I would like to thank all those who helped make Vets Roll possible. What a wonderful event. And it is a thrill to drive down Riverside to see all those flags and think of how our community has really gone out of its way to honor our veterans. And I'd like to especially thank the Finnegan family for all they've done to continue to make that possible. And finally, would like to express my gratitude to those who helped organize the NAACP Statewide Education Summit that was held this past Saturday. I enjoyed helping with that event and attending it. We had some wonderful speakers, both state and national speakers, sharing their concerns and discussion about how we can address the achievement gap that exists still for children of color. And I'm grateful to be a member of the NAACP Beloit branch as we continue to work on that issue. So thank you for that wonderful summit. Thank you, that's all.
Councillor Levy.
Nothing.
Councillor Kelly.
I don't know, she already said it all.
Councillor Kincaid.
I urge that you, those who haven't been out to Big Hill lately, get out there in the spring while the flowers are still there and the leaves are green. Everything's blooming. There's a lot of work the parks people will be doing to improve it even more, the trails, and but it's easy to get around, and it's free. It's a great place to visit. This is the time of year to do it.
Vice President Haynes.
Yes, I do have something. I thought about this quite a bit, but actually didn't know what I was going to say, because in all of my time that I've been on the council, when I first started, I looked around trying to figure out how on earth I got here, but I looked at the people that I was serving with, and I knew that there was one councilor in particular that defined what I felt the role of a city councilor was, and one that I wanted to model my tenure on the council after, one that taught me what it means to be committed to the community, and that is Kevin Levy. When I saw how he behaved as president and vice president, I knew that I wanted to do things half as well as he did, or better. It chokes me up to see him leave, and it has been one of the most profound honors that I've ever experienced, is to serve beside him on this council. And I want to thank you more than I can possibly say for that honor.
And I've also had a chance to attend a number of events in the community. I also attended the Beloit Fire Department Paramedic 40th anniversary, a great chance to see what was going on there, and especially glad to hear that our new striker cot lift system is working to prevent back injuries. I had a chance to attend Art Walk downtown. It was a great event as usual, although felt a little bit more like holidazzle in terms of the temperature. Had a chance to attend the NAACP Education Summit as well, and that was a great event, and I'm looking forward to the groundbreaking on the Fruzen Intermediate School tomorrow. And I also had a chance to attend Beloit College graduation, and want to congratulate the class of 2014 on their commencement. I also want to take a moment again to thank Councillor Levy for your service, and I had the privilege of running in a campaign with you when I first ran, because we were up at the same time. You running for, I think, your 5th term, and me running for my 1st, and it was a privilege to run with you, and since then to serve with you, and to hear your leadership, and whether we've agreed or not on the issues, you always bring a passion to what we're discussing, and do what you think is in the best interest of the community. And so we will absolutely miss your service, but wish you the best, and having a little more time to spend not just with your job, but with your family and the other things that you enjoy doing, and ride a bike and all those good things. Councilor DeForest?
Yes, thank you. I'm still in denial over here. I'm sorry. I did not vote aye on the resolution that accepted your resignation.
If you voted aye, that would have been amazing.
I know, I gotta stay in the minority even for that, right? I was afraid that if I tried to speak that I would get choked up. But I just feel like I have to try to say thank you for, yeah, see, I can't. We're gonna miss you. Thanks.
All right. Item 10, City Manager's Presentation, 10A. Item 10A is a presentation on Parks and Recreation on our summer activities. Mr. Ramsey and Mr. Waite.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I appreciate the fact that we get to come in once a year and kind of highlight what we're doing in our parks and our leisure services division, and kind of give a highlight of what you can expect to find during the summer. And I know Spencer brought some of our brochures, so if you don't have some of those, we have those as well. I'm going to kind of start things off here tonight, and then I'm going to pass it over to Spencer, who's going to highlight about much of the programming that we do. Let's see if I can get this right the first time. Did I go the wrong way? I'm good at that. There you go, back. Okay, there we go. There we go. Thank you very much. I always get it wrong to start with. Just to highlight a few things. Of course, our parks, we have over 924 acres of parkland. That makes up 39 separate park sites that we have. In those sites, we have approximately 18 shelters, 16 different types of facilities and buildings as well, 25 playgrounds for your children to play at, 157 park signs and landscaping beds that we maintain. And that makes this time of year a very busy time of year for us. 15 natural areas and special use areas, and 28 recreation bike paths or walking trails. Speaking of the shelters, the 18 shelters that we have, those are available on a first-come, first-served basis, beginning in the first business day of January. Those shelters are available to rent from May 1st through October 1st. So you can rent those or schedule them, reserve them in advance by going down to the Leisure Services office located at 1003 Pleasant Street, or you can call 608-364-2890 to reserve your shelter as well, or inquire if one's available on the date you're interested in. We would highly encourage that. Reservations, however, do need to be made in person. You can also look on our website and you can see what shelters we have, where they're located. There's even a picture of each one of them if you like to see which one's available in which park. With that in mind, since all the shelters are actually rented at Leisure Services as well, I'm going to pass this off to Spencer, and he'll talk a little bit about how our rentals have been going for the last few years, and then go into some of the programs that are available as well.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting us down again. Mr. Levy, congratulations on your next endeavor. Park pavilions, obviously, if you've rented any in the past, you've come down to my office. As you can see, we have many shelters and pavilions that are available for rental, from graduation parties to family get-togethers. And also, as you can see, we've been pretty consistent over the last 5 years. of rentals that we have that take place in our parks, being on the low side of 231 all the way up to 303. Generally, a lot of those rentals are on Saturdays and Sundays. So as Brian said, we start that first business day in January. Generally, we have a line standing outside the front door at about 7:15 waiting to get in, because they obviously know they're going to have a graduate first part of June and try to get these pavilions available for their parties. So, you know, the Harry Moore, Jones Pavilion, and the Riverside Midlawn are really highlights of the rental season for people to utilize the riverfront and have their events down there. Rotary Center, obviously another great asset for the city of Beloit on the riverfront. We have numerous events that take place down there, from weddings to company banquets, Rotarian meetings, you name it. The facility gets used on a regular basis. Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. I think it was starting in April. There's none left through October 31st this year. So the facility gets utilized very heavily during the middle of the year, going through into the winter months. As you can see, you know, when you only look at a 3-day week on the high side of a rental season, you know, 166 days of being rented is a good chunk of the year for us. Last year, for some reason, we were a little bit down. Don't really have anything to attribute to it. We didn't have any construction or anything like that to deter people from coming down, but we were down just a little bit. But for the most part, you can see 2009 through 2012, we've been fairly consistent with those rentals. This past spring or April, we kind of did our spring cleanup. We installed new carpet, and then also painted the interior of the whole interior of the building as well. Riverside Rentals, we just opened up here for weekends in May. We're starting to see an increase in participation, people in the park. Obviously, the weather contributes to that pretty highly. This last couple weeks haven't been our best weather-wise, but I think heading into Memorial Day weekend, I have a feeling it's going to be a busy weekend down there. I know all the shelters are rented, the Rotary Center is rented, so I anticipate a high volume of people utilizing the paddle boats and kayaks and the tandem bikes that we have down there. As you can see in the pictures, we have a picture of the dancing that takes place on Monday nights. They're very kind to us. They come down and buy water and ice cream products from us after they get done with a hard night of dancing. So we enjoy them coming down, and I know my staff like to see everybody come down after they get done with their routines. Talked about summer activities. As you can see, we kind of got a big lineup of activities that are taking place. I won't read through them all, but I'll kind of touch on a few of the newer ones that we're looking to get off the ground this year. Touch a Truck. I don't know if anybody was down to Farmers Market this weekend, but we kind of had a similar activity that we did with Public Works Weeks, where we had a lot of the city equipment down there. The idea of this is to bring the community down, take a look at the vehicles, the operations of what the city of Beloit is doing, and just kind of get a realization of the equipment that we do have and the work that it takes to operate them. Playground Summer Fun. This is a staple of our programming during the summer. It's a free program that we have at 3 different parks throughout the city. Summit Park, Vernon Park, and Kruger Park. All are attended very well. There's free lunch for all the kids that come down, provided by the Salvation Army, who's been a partner with us since I can remember, so that's dating back 12 years, and I would imagine it probably dates back 15, 20 as well. Big Hill Adventure Camp, we're looking forward to that again this year. We have some ideas to get that program jump-started again. but it's a great way for the youth of the community to get out to Big Hill Park and experience what Mr. Kincaid said today. You know, just the nature of the setting that's out there. It's pretty impressive for a city to have a park of its nature out there. Challenger Soccer Camp. We're working with a British company that comes in each summer and provides a week-long camp for all ages from 6 to 17. That'll be held here in the first part of June, excuse me. And then pickleball and Tai Chi are some of the new stuff that we're going to operate this summer. Pickleball we held over the winter at the school at Cunningham, just a trial basis, a drop-in program. And we had about 15 to 20 adults that came out and played pickleball every Wednesday, I believe it was, for 6 weeks. So it's kind of a trendy sport for those that play tennis. It's kind of a dumbed-down version of it, smaller version of tennis, and I participated myself and had a great time. So we're hoping to provide that a little bit more this summer, and actually we're going to paint some courts over at Kruger Park and try to get that off the ground. Adult tournaments offered. As you can see, we have a few of those offered, from softball to wiffle ball, kickball. We've partnered with Visit Beloit this summer to bring a new event to Riverside Park. It's called Coob. It's kind of a bags picnic type game. I've never played it myself, but apparently it's getting very big in northern Wisconsin and Minnesota. And so Matt Bozen from Visit Beloit has worked with Sonia and I on getting this to happen, and we're looking forward to providing the tournament on August 2nd this year. Hopefully it should bring in teams from all over, not just local teams, but some out of town and even out of state. The pool, we're very busy getting ready for the pool season to begin. Our season starts June 13th. So the last about a month and a half, we've had staff out there doing the preparation that's needed to open up the pool. We're very close to being ready. We probably have about another week of minor repairs, painting that needs to be done, and then we'll be able to start putting water in the pools and get that ready for the kids to enjoy once they're out of school. To highlight some of the programs that we have out there, our swim team, we have over 200 kids that participate in that each summer. Swimming lessons, we offer, I think it's 9 weeks of swim lessons that the kids can participate in. We also have water aerobics, private pool rentals if anybody's interested in having a birthday party or a family get-together, we offer that. And then for something on the little smaller side of a rental, we have a birthday party package that has really taken off over the last 3-4 years, where we have upwards of 22 to 25 of them a year. And then annually, we've had the triathlon, which will be Sunday, June 29th, and we're looking forward to that. And we're in the works, working to provide another free day this summer. We had a sponsor that allowed us to do that last year, and she's come back again, and she's willing to provide that, as well as considering offering maybe multiple free days for that. So we're in talks of trying to make that work and pick some dates that'll work for everybody, and get that lined up for the summer. Grinnell Hall, I don't know if anybody's been over there lately, but I do encourage you to go over there. There's been a big transformation inside the facility. We've done a lot of work of updating some things that haven't been done for a while. We have a new coordinator that started last year, and she's done a fabulous job of bringing a whole new spirit to the center, very outgoing and getting people interested from not only the city of Beloit, but also going out to the state line area and talking to seniors and getting them to come up and utilize our facility. As you can see, there's many things that are going on, and this is just kind of a snippet of what takes place out there, over there each day. The main programs, that we offer that are very vital to the community are the tax preparations in January, February, March, and April, and then the Rock County Nutrition Program that provides food at the center daily for people that need the help can come and utilize that program. And then new this year, we're offering some road trips. We're going to go to the Dells, we're going to go to Chicago and Lake Geneva. This is the first year that we've done this, so we're excited and hoping that we'll get a good turnout. This is just kind of a few partnerships that we have in the works and have had in the past. These four are just kind of a main group that we utilize and assist in activities with. Friends Riverfront with the movie, dancing and music at Harry's Place. We work with Nikki and her staff pretty much day to day, and we're happy to be a partner with them. They bring a lot to the community with the activities that they provide. The Beloit Snappers obviously is a staple of this community, and I think everybody enjoys going out there, but we do some off-site stuff with them together and providing assistance that maybe some of the public don't know about. Visit Beloit, obviously a main partner with a lot of the activities that take place not only with the Parks and Rec Department, but a lot of agencies within the city of Beloit as well. And then Biff Outdoors, who we started partnering with last year, providing outdoor movies. This will be our second year that we're going to partner with them, and I think we just established a date this year that we're going to try to do something on Thursday, July 3rd, in works of Park and Rec Month. July is National Park and Rec Month, and so we have a few things that we're trying to plan to provide something each week throughout the month of July for that celebration of Parks and Rec Month. And last thing that I have tonight would be the Kruger-Haskell Golf Course. We provide assistance with a lot of the programs that take place out there, whether it be selling season passes, running the junior golf activities from lessons to tournaments and leagues that we host. We do run 3 or 4 tournaments ourselves, the Men's City Tournament, the Junior Swanee, and the Junior City Tournament. And then new this year, which is a big thing for Kruger-Haskell Golf Course, is we have the WPLA tournament coming to town. It's a mid-amateur and a senior amateur tournament that comes. It's one that's voted on by the WPLA of a course where they want to go each year, and this year we were fortunate enough to get it. It should probably bring in anywhere from 100 to 150 golfers on a Saturday and Sunday, and so we're looking forward to that. It's great exposure for the golf course. There's a lot of top-end golfers that will be coming to the community, and it'll be a good way to showcase the changes that have taken place out there. And I'll turn it back over to Brian.
Just to kind of follow up a little bit with the activity at the golf course. Present in front of you is our daily fees. Our fees are very reasonable. We encourage anybody who's maybe a beginner golfer all the way to an experienced golfer to come out and play at our golf course. Our fees are very reasonable, whether you're playing 9 holes or 8 or 18, and you can always add a cart for an additional price as well. We have certain dates where we have specials. On Wednesday we have a golf and cart special that's a very reasonable rate, and of course we always have our twilight rates that start at 3 o'clock and brings down the cost. Our season passes, I think, are some of the most reasonable passes you can find in the area course. We always do a comparison to see what everybody else charges. We generally find that our rates are much more reasonable, lower than most any other golf course in the area. Those are still available to buy. There's still plenty of opportunity to get out and use your golf pass, and we have them available at individual rates, senior rates, family rates, student rates, and even limited play passes where you get 20 passes for $200, which is a great savings on top of the daily round or fee that you would pay. We also have special rates for golf outings or play day events, we encourage you to call the golf course, set up a tee time, or reserve your play day event. You can call 608-362-6503, or you can just go to our website, which is KrugerHaskellGolf.com, and you can reserve a tee time on that website directly, and we'll even forward you an email back to verify that your tee time has been reserved. We'd also like to make certain we promote that Bunky's Bunker is our new service there with our new concessionaire, and so far we're very pleased with the results of that. They're doing an outstanding job, and we think if you haven't been out there to try their food since the start of the year, we highly recommend that at least. To conclude things, just want to point out some of the other services that are available at Leisure Services as well. They sell WPRA tickets that are at a discounted rate for Mount Olympus, Water and Theme Park, the Milwaukee Zoo, Noah's Ark Family Park, Pirates Cove Adventure Golf, Six Flags Great America, and the Bigfoot Zipline Tour. All these are discounted tickets that you can get at the Leisure Services as well. We'd like to thank the council for their support. We hope everybody gets an opportunity to get out to our parks and enjoy them and take an active role in the summer. Last but not least, I'd like to make certain I invite the council to attend this year's annual Parks Tour, which is scheduled for July 9th. So please mark your calendar. You will get an invitation to that, but I wanted you to be aware of that now. As an annual tour that we generally go on and talk about our parks and improvements that need to be made, as we're always trying to make improvements and upgrade our parks. So lastly, just to remind everyone that the benefits of parks and recreation are endless. So we hope you come out and enjoy our parks. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor DeForest?
Thank you. I have two quick questions. Spencer or Brian, do you know, I can't remember, did we increase the fees for shelter and Rotary Center rental last year? Could that be why possibly rentals are down, or, I didn't think we did, but.
No, we didn't
Okay.
raise any fees.
Okay.
And actually on the shelter side of it, we've gotten rid of the shelter deposits.
Okay.
And so there are just one rental fee instead of having a rental fee and a
Okay,
deposit.
great. I wanted to make sure that wasn't the issue. And then I wanted to ask about the free days at the pool. I think it's a wonderful thing, but I was concerned about safety. I heard that there were some concerns just about lifeguard coverage and the incredible amounts of kids that were there that day. So what's the plan to address safety?
Well, and we have our reservations about it too. Obviously, we didn't know exactly what to expect last year. I think we had over, I think it was 1,600 roughly people that came out. So I've met with both our pool managers and kind of discussed the idea. I've talked to our sponsor and talked about some ideas that we have. We haven't, decided anything concrete yet, but we're looking at, a limit of maybe numbers that we're going to be able to be allowed in the pool. Maybe a shorter time frame. My concern was we had enough guard staff. That wasn't an issue. What the issue was is I think the intense supervision that it required for that many people for a 6-hour span is very tough on anybody. And like I said, the staffing wasn't an issue. It's just the overwhelming aspect of the whole day. So I think, as we get closer to it, we're going to have a plan in place. Safety is obviously our main focus, and we'll make sure that we got all our bases covered.
Is there an occupancy maximum for the pool?
Yeah, and okay. I think it's like 1,860 is what our maximum capacity is.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, and when I say 1,600 people came, we didn't have 1,600 people in the pool all at one time.
Right.
I mean, it was a rolling number. So I would say we probably had maybe 700-800 people in the pool at one time. My other concern too is the effects that it has on the pool itself. It was a 2 or 3 day process of getting the pool back into chemical shape the way it needs to be. So, but we'll get that all ironed out, and you know, we'll look forward to having another great day, basically.
Well, definitely the needs there. I'm glad that you're considering multiple days, and maybe that could be a pitch to our community to step up and maybe help with some sponsorship of that. So that'd be great. Thank you.
Councilor Lubke.
Spencer, Brian, I was trying to read the, when you had the golf course fees up, did some fees go up and others go down for this year?
No, none of our fees, our daily fees at all changed. The only fees that changed were our passes. They go up on an annual basis. It's generally anywhere from $25 to $50 is what they go up. But also our annual passes are always available to buy at the same rate we sold them the previous year, all the way through till March 1st. After March 1st is when we put our new fee structure in place. So if anybody's looking to save a little bit on that cost, we encourage them to buy them before March 1st.
These were March 1st and after fees?
Yes,
Okay.
these fees up
Thank
here
you.
were after March 1st, yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Are there any other questions? Not, thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Item 10B is a code enforcement presentation. Ms. Downey.
Hello, counselors. Thank you for having me back this year again to talk about code enforcement. The code enforcement program has three components. There's an interior systematic rental inspection program, interior multifamily residential inspection program, and an exterior citywide code enforcement aspect. The staffing for this program in our division is one part-time inspector, does interior systematics only. We have one full-time inspector that does interior fire systematics for multifamily units. And then we have 4 full-time inspectors that do both. They do the interior systematics and the exterior citywide code enforcement. There's one more inspector that's employed by the Housing Authority, so is not under our division. And that inspector takes care of the 598 voucher holders, wherever they're renting, and the 131 public housing units. The city has 6,526 rental units as of last week. You can see the pie chart has it divided by single-family rentals. The duplex rentals and the multifamily have the majority of the pie. And then we have some 3-plex and 4-plex rental units. The interior systematic rental inspection program, where all buildings containing 1 or 2 rental units are scheduled for interior inspection on a 3-year cycle. All buildings containing 3 or more rental units are scheduled for an interior inspection annually. Common areas of multifamily buildings require an annual or biannual fire inspection. Depends on their sprinkling system and whether there's an exterior door, and we'll get to that in a later slide. All the Section 8 and public housing rental units are inspected on an annual basis by the Housing Authority inspector, except they also inspect on move-in as well. The interior inspection checklist is sent with all interior inspection notification letters. We started that this year, and this allows property owners to prepare ahead of time, and the purpose is to minimize the number of re-inspects and to allow the property owners to get their properties in place ahead of the inspection. So you have a handout with the inspection checklist. It's the top page of your packet, and as you can see, it's pretty comprehensive. We have tried to make sure that we put as much as possible in here so the property owners or the tenants or the landlords can have enough time to get everything in place. So the 2 biggies are the smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. The inspectors look at all interior surfaces like peeling paint and make sure that everything's in order there. All the doors must be sealed and be in good repair. They must be able to lock the doors. and they have to have, they can't have the kind that locks from the inside with a key. That's a fire hazard. The ceilings, they check the ceiling heights and they check for peeling paint. The windows have to be tight, they have to be not broken, and not be cracked or chipped. There's handrails and guardrails that are required for stairways and stairwells, and the balustrades between, so somebody going down the stairs, a small child can't fall through. The stairs have to be structurally sound. Treads and risers have to be in good repair and not loose or moving, and they can't have any obstructions in hallways, stairs, or exits. Electrical, our code inspectors look at the light fixtures, make sure there's protective covers, that the wiring is not hanging out or poking out in any way. They make sure that that each habitable space has a receptacle outlet, a dwelling shall contain at least one separate and remote receptacle outlet, so it does have to have an outlet. The switches are to be free of damage, defects, and paint, and electrical panels have to have a clearance of at least 36 inches in front of the panel. So if they go in a basement and there's all this stuff shoved up against the panel, they'll require them to move that stuff back. It goes through what all the bathrooms have to have. Mainly it's leaking, cleanliness, there's no, things that look like mold are growing. The toilets flush, the water's running, there's hot and cold water, etc. Basement, no sleeping areas can be in the basement unless there's an egress window. And an egress window is just a bigger window that you can open up and climb out. So if there's any sleeping areas discovered in basements, they're ordered to remove those immediately. Bedrooms, they check for lighting fixtures. They have to have a heat source and an outlet. Kitchen floors have to be impervious to water, so you can't have carpet in your kitchen. They have to have, it has to be clean and sanitary, it has to have running water. It can't have old rotting food and everything all over the counters. The mechanicals, they do a cursory check on that just to make sure there aren't any red flags. If there are red flags, such as like a fuse box, if there's lots of blown circuits, or if the furnace just doesn't look right, if the water heater doesn't look like, they refer those to the building inspectors that have more training, and then they go out and take a better look at that. They look at plumbing and the general interior of the house. Now this goes out to all of the people before their scheduled inspection. So basically, working smokes and carbons on each floor. They have to have handrails, and the condition of the stairs has to be good. Sanitation, including presence of rodents, insects, and vermin. They look for evidence of that. Condition of all interior surfaces. They have to have heating facilities in all habitable rooms. Openable windows in all bedrooms. Light switches in all habitable rooms. They check for dangerous electrical issues. Exits and entrances cannot be blocked. Stairwells must be well lit and not blocked, and the door to the unit must be lockable with a key from the outside. The multifamily residential inspections are a little bit different than our regular interior inspections. The fully sprinklered and buildings that have their own individual entrances are inspected once per year. Unsprinklered and partially sprinklered buildings with common areas are inspected twice each year. Half of the apartments are inspected at each inspection. There are currently 2,768 multifamily housing units. So the multifamily residential inspections has two components. Besides going through this checklist for each unit, there's a common area inspection that happens. They check for functioning exit and emergency lights. They check for fire extinguishers and that they're up to date and they have the most current tags. They check sprinkler heads and sprinkler maintenance reports. They check for illegal extension cords, check for storage of flammable and combustible items. They make sure pull alarms are being tested once per month. make sure fire doors are functioning, and make sure apartments are numbered. Then the private individual units follow the inspection checklist. Some examples of interior code violations are sanitation, wall and ceiling damage, and broken windows. These were all taken in 2013. The top picture, or the one to the furthest right, that was a call from CPS. They called code enforcement in when the Child Protective Services came out. And the broken window, they were given 30 days to fix that, and they did not fix it. That was inside of a rental unit. More examples of interior code violations. These are fire safety type violations. Items on top of stoves, they'll have those removed immediately while they're there. Overloaded circuits, the picture on the right there is actually a 2-plug, and they've put a 4-plug into a 2-plug, and that will overload the circuits. And then the top, or the bottom-most picture has just loose wiring and a hanging, light there that you can see. More examples of electrical hazards are extension cords plugged into power strips, which is the one on the right there. You can't plug in an extension cord to a power strip. The appliance has to be plugged directly into the power strip. The middle picture there is numerous extension cords wrapped around a door so they could get caught and kinked and broken. And extension cords, if they're used for long term, they heat up and they can cause fires. And in 2013, there was a residential fire because of an electrical cord running underneath the rug. The top one here you can't really see. There we go. But that receptacle there has no cover, and there's obviously small children in the house, so they could put their finger in the back and touch the wires. So that's another example of an electrical hazard. Some examples of violations for that we would post a unit unfit for human habitation. One is hoarding, which is the top picture there. If we try to work with social service agencies, if there's an elderly person or somebody with suspected mental illness, we try to work with their caseworker and try not to post the unit unfit, but we'll go back once a week to see that there's progress, as long as there's progress. Sometimes it's so bad we have to post it unfit if there's no running water, if they can't use their toilet, if it's so bad they can't get out if there were a fire, we have to post it unfit because that person can't live there. Unsanitary or unsafe conditions. The bottom right picture is one from last week, 2 weeks ago. And that is a child's bedroom. And we often work with Child Protective Services. They call us, we call them when we see situations that are bad. And the picture on the left, that looks like carpet, but it's not. That's a hardwood floor with just a lot of crud on the floor. So something like this would be posted unfit. So our inspectors, for the exterior citywide code enforcement, our inspectors find violations by routine observation, citizen complaints, and referrals from other city departments, and also the systematic interior rental inspection program, because when you're inside of a house, sometimes when you're upstairs, you can see outside into backyards and things, and they can see some violations, or sometimes the people complain about their neighbors. Well, my neighbor's backyard looks like this, or has a pool that hasn't been drained, etc. This is the 2014 code enforcement map. You'll notice that there are only 4 areas this year. There used to be 5 areas. We pulled our part-time inspector out of an area because she was only here 2 days a week, and it was hard when complaints came in. She wasn't available. So she's doing only interior systematic inspections. She doesn't have an exterior area. So she has double the interiors that our other inspectors do. The code enforcement process. First, there's an inspection, and then if there is a violation, a code violation, a letter is sent, and that is the second piece to your packet here. We went over this in the workshop, but I thought you would want to see it here today. I did want to put Kevin Levy as the name, but Julie and I decided to play it safe. So this is a sample of what somebody might get for a code violation, and there's 3 violations here. Exterior sanitation for trash and debris or garbage, and weeds and grass. The deadline is 5 days, so if it were issued today, they would have till Friday to get that taken care of. And then the 3rd violation, we put an exterior window that was broken, and then they would have 30 days to fix that. And all of the letters have on the back, they have the inspector's name and direct phone number at the bottom. So if there's any questions, the person can contact the inspector directly, or if they need an extension, or if there were extenuating circumstances, etc. Behind that letter is the letter with the notes that I had provided at the workshop. Sheila, I know you weren't there, so most of the items are required by our ordinance, so we try to follow the ordinance. There are some courtesy warnings, if you will. We're not required to let them know that they might get a citation if they don't fix it, but we let them know because we think that's the right thing to do. They need to know that they could get a fine, and but most of the other items are required by the ordinance. If a code violation is not corrected, a citation is issued. There's a listing of the fines. They went up by $10 at the beginning of the year. So first offense all the way to 4th offense. If there's a 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, they would stay at the $691. That's for the same offense. So if Julie didn't fix her window, she would start off with a $187 fine, and then depending on whether she still doesn't fix it, then she would get $313, then $439, then $691. Some people will fix it after the letter. Some people will fix it after the 3rd fine. You just never know. This year we did start the reinspection fees, and it's $50 for the first reinspection due to not having any smoke or carbon monoxide detectors, and $75 for second and subsequent reinspections. We've had a pretty active residential fires recently in the last 2 years. We had 5 residential fires in 2013 and 1 explosion due to natural gas, where there was a fatality during that one. And this year so far we're on number 6 as of yesterday, residential fires. So the smoke detectors are really important to have in people's houses. Here's some more examples of violations that will require to have people correct immediately. Electrical hazards. The picture there on the left is on a roof, and it's 2 extension cords plugged into, I'm not sure, a makeshift outlet, and that's a baggie that's wrapped around the top of that, and it's wet and raining in this picture. Motor vehicles parked or stored on the grass. You can see in this picture the driveway is open. I'm not sure why they're parking on the grass. And bulky appliances stored on the property, so water heaters, refrigerators, things like that. Examples of violations to be corrected in 5 to 7 days would be solid waste. As you can see in the top picture there, graffiti, most of the time it's pretty offensive, so we give 5 to 7 days for them to cover that up. I had to censor the one on the bottom there. And then unregistered, unlicensed, or junk motor vehicles that are sitting on a property. Examples of violations, more violations to be corrected in 5 to 7 days would be long grass and weeds, snow and trash and debris. That picture, you can't really tell, but there's trash and debris up against the house as well. The weeds and grass on that picture are taller than the porch. Examples of violations to be corrected in 30 days would be interior repairs, including electrical or plumbing. And when I say electrical, I mean like an upgrade, an electrical upgrade. If it's an immediate hazard, we try to make them do that immediately. Screens and storm windows, dead trees, which we'll have to be paying attention to more because of EAB. Interior sanitation issues, unless the property is posted unfit for human habitation, they can't move back into the property until it's cleaned up. But if it was just dirty, we would give them 30 days to clean that up. And then interior peeling paint. Examples of code violations to be corrected in 60 days would be exterior painting, large property maintenance projects, driveways, roof repair and replacement. The top picture there is an example of a gutter that has been removed or is off, and it's rotting away at the foundation. There's a hole there, and some of the tuck pointing is falling apart. Examples of violations to be corrected in 120 days would be major property maintenance issues and repairs. And when inspectors come across that, we do include this flyer that's the last page in your packet for our housing loan program. So if it is a major property maintenance issue, at least they can, talk to Christy and see if they qualify. If they don't qualify, Christy is really good about referring them to agencies that might be able to help them. And we do have a number of home improvement loans, and we do have a lead grant for 3 years now that we can pair those together and take care of their lead issues as well. In 2013, the systematic interior inspection program, we had 904 total inspections. We had 395 housing units inspected, so that means there were 56% of those had to be re-inspected. So where inspectors are going back out twice. The multifamily interior inspections, the number of units is 2,430, and a total of 2,800 inspections, and that reinspection rate is at 13%. Exterior inspections, they did 5,166, and a total number of inspections for 2013 was almost 9,000. I do want to point out that the systematic interior inspections were less last year. I discovered in about September that we still hadn't gotten through our 2012 inspections. That's how far behind we were because due to the numerous re-inspections that we were doing. So we hit the reset button and we moved all inspections out 1 year so we could start fresh in 2013. So we moved all of the ones, so we could start fresh in 2014. So we moved all of the inspections that were supposed to be inspected in 2013 to 2014, the ones that were supposed to be inspected this year to 2015, et cetera, so we could start fresh. And there were almost 5,500 violations last year and 335 citations for property maintenance violations, and we issued 166 additional citations for renting without a rental permit. If you have any questions, I can entertain those now. Otherwise, you can call our number and ask me later.
Councilor Kelly.
All right, I have a question. Okay, so there's houses that look pretty bad outside, and so say you give a violation for something outside, but they're not due for an interior evaluation or inspection for a couple of years. Do you move those, or can you move those up, or is that not something that's done? So if it looks bad outside, most likely it's going to be pretty bad inside.
We don't move it up for the inside, so we would issue a violation letter for the exterior code violations and then follow up that way. We would do an inspection on the interior if we got a complaint from somebody that had firsthand knowledge that there were code violations on the interior. So if a neighbor said, I was inside and I saw dog poop all over the floor and rats running all over the place, we would request an inspection to go inside to do a systematic interior inspection.
So therefore, it could be a couple of years before you get to the inside of that.
It could be.
Could be. Okay.
And we will inspect the interior of owner-occupied if we get a complaint, too.
Oh, you would?
If somebody has firsthand knowledge. Sometimes the police will call us, too. We do work closely with the police department. They'll call us because they often go inside places, and then they'll call us out on scene. They'll call at 3 in the morning, and we have a lead inspector that'll go out.
So you can do interior inspections of homeowner-occupied houses?
By complaint, yes.
By complaint, okay.
Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. Ms. Downing, would you be willing to email us your PowerPoint? Some of the statistics are really helpful, so at some later point, if you could email those to us, that would be wonderful. And I do have some questions. We had talked at one point about trying to spread out inspections for landlords who had multiple properties, so not getting hit with inspections of all of their units at one time. Have we successfully been doing that, kind of spreading them out over the course of the year?
We're trying the moving one inspector to interiors only. It's been a little bit of an adjustment because we've never done that before. So we are trying to make sure that we're not doing, 20 properties in the same month. We're trying to spread it out over the year so a landlord doesn't get hit with a whole bunch of issues.
Okay. And I don't know this, I hadn't thought about it before. When a property is deemed unfit, and it's primarily due to what we would consider kind of tenant responsible behavior, is there a fine associated with that the landlord accrues? What's the protocol for how do we work with the landlord when it's a tenant related behavior that's causing the unfit designation?
It can get complicated because if it's a tenant, so for example, the hoarding issue, it's posted unfit for human habitation. However, the property owner is responsible for making it habitable. So if the plumbing doesn't work, if there's no, water or sewer, the property owner has to bring that back to code. Or if there's broken windows and things like that, the landlord, through the tenant landlord laws can can work that out with their tenant. But as far as the housekeeping issues, we try to work with the tenant on those things. And then if they're living in there, the landlord would get fined, and so would the occupant. But we do try to, we try to separate out which one is the tenant, which one's the landlord responsibility. You want to add something, Attorney Krieger?
Am I on? Okay. For the most part, what I've seen in court is when they're related to the tenant issues, the tenants are the party that are cited. If they occupy the property after it's been posted unfit, I think almost every time they're citing the actual occupant. Most of the time, the landlord would have to go to court in order to get any kind of an eviction proceeding headed. So we haven't been citing the landlords for those types of violations. But the major issues that are resulting in the unfit posting would be the responsibility of the property owner, the housekeeping, the hoarding type of things. We have been holding the tenant accountable.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Which is somewhat related to my second question about the order remaining in effect for 24 months. So if a landlord has a tenant who's in the property for a year and let's say has a garbage issue or an unregistered vehicle or doesn't take care of their snow, if that's part of their responsibility, and then a brand new tenant moves in, a year later,
grass and snow is 12 months.
Okay. So the 24 months would be like an unregistered vehicle or garbage? It seems...
Yes. Trash and debris and unregistered vehicles.
Okay, I'm on. With regard to those matters, if the landlord, I must be given some feedback there. If the landlord provides notice that the tenant has left, it's been my experience that the inspectors will work with that landlord.
Okay.
The problem is half the time the inspectors don't know that there's a change in tenancy at all. So it's been my working relationship with the inspectors through their citations, that they do try to pay attention to those things, that if it is a new tenant, that they provide either a courtesy letter, because it's not just the notice of violation that happens and then a ticket automatically. There are a number of inspectors that provide what they call a courtesy warning or a second warning before they go to the stage of having to write a ticket.
Great. And I heard you say a number of inspectors. Are they all doing that? Is there some consistency?
I think generally across the board they're doing it. Sometimes with the problem properties, they may not be issuing that warning, that final courtesy letter. It just depends upon the circumstances.
Okay, that makes me worry there's not consistency, but...
I don't think there can be consistency when you've got different fact patterns. I mean, you've got some tenants or some landlords who consistently have tenants that are not following the property maintenance code. I can think of a number of landlords that have some issues with renting to tenants that consistently have the junk vehicles or have the issues on the property. So they're aware of those violations, and if they continue to rent to people who are violating, I think the ticket comes right after the notice of violation.
And if the inspector gets results by contacting the landlord, then that's usually what they'll do. But if they get no results and just get arguments, then it's, you know, sometimes landlords will promise, oh yes, I'll take care of it, but then nothing ever happens, so.
Okay, so the inspectors are contacting the landlords on tenant-related issues and trying to work with them, so that the landlord has a chance to address it with the tenant?
On a case-by-case basis. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I wanted to double-check about the violations that have to be addressed within 5 days from the date of the notice. Are we sure to get those notices out the day that they're being noticed, or are they from the date that they're postmarked? I just want to make sure we're being fair that they're getting notice adequately to address it.
They're getting the notice goes out the day of the date on the letter.
Okay, great.
And they get 5 days from that date.
Okay.
She sees more of these in court than I do, so that's why she's able to answer these a little better than I do.
Right, and the 5 to 7 day, most of the time those inspectors are giving additional time beyond the date that they put in the letter, simply because they're not able to get back in a timely manner. So they may have the 5 days, but there could be a couple of days grace even after that before the inspector has a chance to get out.
And the example letter, for example, if an order went out today, it's Monday, and they have 5 days, it's actually due at midnight on Friday. They're not going to see it until the following Monday, so they actually have 7 days, and that happens quite a bit.
Okay. All right, thank you. I appreciate your answer to the questions.
If there are no other questions, thank you for your presentation. Item 11A. Item 11 is reports from board and city officers. Item 11A.
Resolution authorizing the schedule of fees for Chapter 10 of the Code of General Ordinances for the city of Beloit related to the electrical code.
Ms. Christensen.
This is simply moving the fees to be set by city council resolution. So all the fees are the same except that reinspection fee that we discussed earlier.
Thank you. Are there any questions or a motion to approve?
To approve.
Moved by Lupke, second by Levy. Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. I do have a question. How are we making sure that homeowners know about these fees? I could see it very feasible that a homeowner would be completely surprised that we're charging a fee to change a light fixture or for a permit to do that.
I mean, these fees have been in place for decades, so I mean, they're on the website. The information is on the website about the electrical stuff. If they want to look it up, they can contact us. There is, besides the website, there's not a lot of good ways to get that information out because we have no way to know if you're ready to change a fixture. So, I mean, we have the information out on the website. We have contact information on the website. We have all the staff information on the website where they can call and email, and we get contacts that way. I mean, we get emails every week from people asking simple questions because they're not home during the day and they email on a weekend, and then we respond to them.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on this item? If not, all in favor say aye. 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 All opposed? This is approved 7-0. 11B.
Resolution approving an attempt to fill a vacancy in the office of City Councilor, setting a date, time, and place for a meeting to review applications and select applicants, and a further meeting to approve applicant questionnaire and interview applicants to fill vacancy.
City Manager Arft.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the pending resignation of Councilor Levy, which will take effect on May 31st, a vacancy is created on the City Council. Section 1.06 of the Municipal Code provides a process for council to go through an effort to attempt to appoint an individual to fill that vacancy. The code stipulates that if there's more than 6 months left on the term, that the City Council must fill the vacancy, either through the appointment process or by calling a special election. If there's less than 6 months, obviously the matter is discretionary, and we did have one about 10 years ago where council decided not to fill it. They left it set open for just a few months till the coming election, but this one must be filled. The resolution is before you this evening, outlines and follows very specifically the process that's in the ordinance. The notice to the community would go out and be in the paper tomorrow. 15 days is a required prior notice. It's a Class 1 notice, meaning it'll be published one time. We've also attached the application form, which Council President has approved. The ordinance requires council to confirm the design of the application, and that is attached. We also have some dates in here that are preset, so anyone that might apply to fill that vacancy will understand the timeline. Now, the applications I just referred to must be submitted to the office of the city clerk no later than 5 o'clock p.m. on June the 4th, and that means 5 o'clock p.m. If you're in here at 5:05, you've missed the deadline. It's 5 o'clock on June 4th. Council will meet on June 6th to review all of the applications submitted and select those that will go forward for interview. The city clerk at that same public meeting will also do some kind of a drawing by lot to determine the order of interviews. So that will be done by lot, and it will be done at that meeting on June 5th. I believe that's a Thursday evening. The actual interviews themselves will be scheduled for Monday, June 9th, also beginning at 6 o'clock p.m. The candidates will be sequestered until their interview is held. On that agenda, council will be approving a series of interview questions. They'll be conducting interviews with all of the candidates, and at the conclusion of that process, they will take a vote to select a new counselor. If there's a tie vote, there are some tiebreaker questions. There will be a second round of interviews among the finalists, and then another vote to again select counselor for the post. The resolution indicates attempt to appoint, because by initiating the process, there's no requirement that council appoint. So for some reason, following the interviews, the council felt there was not an appropriate candidate. They're under no obligation to appoint, and they could let the matter roll forward into a special election. So that's essentially the process that's outlined in the ordinance. Critical dates and timelines that would be involved in the appointment process. I'll just close by noting that all of these sessions will be open to the public. They will all be scheduled here in the forum. The public's invited to attend. There will be no closed sessions as a part of the process, including the final votes will all be conducted in the open forum. If there are any additional questions or further clarification that council would like, we'd be happy to try and answer those at this time.
Are there any questions or comments on this? Councilor DeForest?
Thank you. I do have one. I had alerted right away when I knew there was a conflict for me on this day, and I just wanted to check. There was no other dates that could be identified for the reviewing of the applications.
Well, the only other day would be Friday evening.
And that was
there's no way we can do that on Wednesday. The deadline isn't until 5 o'clock. We can't process all that stuff and be prepared. Would you be available to call in? We could.
No, I have a work-related conflict. So Friday evening was not considered?
Friday. So, Mr. President, it's up to you and the council. I'm certainly happy to be here. The clerk, as far as I know, there was something. I thought there was some kind of a community event on that Friday.
There's the Hall of Fame dinner at the Country Club for the induction. Friday, I've got tickets for Tony Bennett. I can't miss that.
That sounds pretty important right there. Yeah, I don't remember anything on Friday, so it's up to council. We did look at trying to move it back and do it on Wednesday. There was just no way to do that and be ready in an hour.
I'm certainly open to any ideas that council members have about scheduling this. Otherwise, the hope is that will be the certainly a relatively short meeting, and that most of the activity will take place at the interview stage. But
Could Sheila and I get the applications and look them over beforehand, that day, or that Wednesday night, or whenever, or Thursday, sometime during the day? I could come down here.
You can't make Thursday either, is it?
It depends what time. I'm one of the people who introduces and speaks at the dinner on Thursday night.
That was 6 p.m., is that correct, is what we were tentatively scheduling for?
6 p.m. It sounds like we will have 2 counselors missing on Thursday. We would have 1 missing if we did it on Friday. Do it Friday okay with you, Jolene?
I could do it earlier on Thursday.
Yeah, I could do it earlier, yeah. I'm free all day. I'd be free all day.
Then we'll miss 1. Charles, if we do it earlier during the day?
If we did it earlier, I would simply do what I had to do to be there.
We would prefer to do it earlier. The staff would be very happy. We were trying to accommodate council's schedule by selecting evening times, and it will still be open to the public. I assume media representatives will be here, so what time?
Mr. Arf, we do have municipal court on Thursdays that starts trials at 3 p.m.
So if we do this earlier, we'd have to do it in another venue.
Correct.
Okay.
That was it.
How early would we need to start to accommodate all of the counselors?
Yeah.
Does 5 p.m. work, or does it need to be earlier than that?
We can do it in an hour?
Oh, yeah, probably less than that.
What about the lunch hour? I mean, is that bad? Then your staff is here?
Well, the room is set up. We can go upstairs in the manager's conference room. There's plenty of room up there to accommodate the media. I assume people may come. Candidates will probably be there. That's probably our second largest venue in the building, would be to go up there. And I think we can get everyone in.
Could we do it at 5?
Well, he was talking about doing it earlier at the noon hour.
Yeah, I'd have to leave home before 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
5 wouldn't help.
Does 4:30 make a difference? I don't know what everyone's work schedule is. I could make that.
I could do 4.
4:30, so yeah.
As long as we didn't use this room.
4:30, will that work for you?
I can talk very quick, but I don't know how fast the trials will go. It's possible we could be done by 4, so I suppose if we were done, you could certainly come down here.
Well, we got to post a location, I think.
Can we do it at the library, or?
Well, we can check. Yeah, we can check on that. We don't need the location in the resolution, just the date and time. So if we go with that meeting on June 5th at 4:00 p.m., that should work. And we'll check and select a venue, and we'll make sure there's adequate public notice. But we do have a couple weeks on that.
Thank you.
So if that works, or if we got consensus, can we get all 6 of you now on that date and time? Then we'll need a motion to amend the resolution, and then a motion to approve.
I would entertain a motion to amend the resolution to change the time to 4 p.m. Is there a motion to do that?
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Kincaid, second by DeForest. Is there any discussion or objection to that time? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That time is approved 7-0. Is there any further discussion on this procedure? If not, I would just restate that the dates that have been agreed upon are 5 p.m. on June 4th for applications to be due in City Hall. The council will meet at 4 p.m. on June 5th at a location to be determined to review the applications and select finalists. And June 9th will be the date when interviews will be conducted, and anybody who is selected as a finalist will need to be present for those interviews to be considered, and the council will vote on a new council member at that meeting.
And that will be 6:00 p.m. in this room.
If there's no further discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? That's approved 7-0. Item 12 is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Levy, second by Haynes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That's approved by a vote of 6-1, and we are adjourned at 9:06 p.m. Thank you.
Really? Look, you go to drag it.